Hello, it's Betty Lou, Rebooted 80 in Vlore, Albania. Today I want to give you a couple of reminders how to protect yourself when renting an apartment in Vlore or in Albania or maybe anywhere. But I'm speaking specifically of Vlore, Albania. All right, let's jump in. The main thing, this is to me the main thing, get a notarized contract, period. The notary is not the same notary as we know in the U.S. The notary here with real estate acts more like the escrow company, where you pay the deposits to them, the notary. You go to the notary office to sign the papers, and that's where all the money and the papers, the whole transaction takes place. The agent, the owner, the notary sitting behind the desk, and then you as the client. So get a notarized contract. They are responsible for the clearance, not the clearance, but the due diligence, and the person who's signing the contract on there, the landlord, is the actual owner as best they can, and they are responsible, and you pay them to do that, and I believe the landlord or the owner pays them to do that as well, and that is your only protection. Now, if you don't do that, I personally don't know why you even need a contract, because the owner could do anything they want and you could do anything you want, except the owner or the landlord. I'm going to say landlord from now on and not owner. The landlord has your money, so chances are pretty slim that you're going to just walk away. So get a notarized contract, and if you see any kind of pushback on, well, it's not really necessary. It's something for your protection, okay? It protects you as best as you can be protected here. All right, that out of the way. Now, these 4 things are in no particular order. So I'm going to start with, you are moving into a building. You're not just moving into an apartment. You're moving into the owner's building, the landlord's building, into his apartment. You need to make sure that he is going to be, or they are going to be, responsive. If something breaks or if something happens, you need to be able to contact them or contact somebody that is reliable that can help you. You can get a fairly good feel for this when you're setting up the appointment. Say you're driving around or you're walking around and you see a sign and you want to look at that apartment. You're looking, you have money in hand. So you call the agent calls the owner, and the owner, says, well, I'm out of town or I'm busy and I can't do it till, like next week. Well, and not very responsive, not very interested in renting the apartment. I personally take this as an indication that I don't know what they're going to be like to rent from. Say the washing machine breaks down. And I know you have to take things in your own hands, but it's their washing machine, and it's essentially their responsibility, and they should at least respond to you. And if you can't get a response, even speaking the same language it's not going to make any difference. So you need a responsive landlord, okay? Please just be aware in the back of your mind to start noticing these things. All right, moving on. The building. When you go into the building to first see the apartment, Watch the building. Watch the entrance. Is it clean? Does it look like somebody's sweeping it? Is there junk all over the lobby? The lobbies aren't very fancy here, or at least they weren't fancy to me because I wasn't looking in an expensive price range. But seeing a lot of papers and a lot of junk in the lobby, no one's taking care of the building. And then you get into the elevator and it's not, you want something that's maintained. At least I do. Usually these buildings have someone that they pay to clean, to keep the elevator in good working order. Maybe some other things, keep the plants outside watered. Things like that. And that's not an expensive fee, but make sure that there's someone managing the building. Anyway, this is a cold brew coffee with milk. Excuse me. So the building, look at the hallways. See if you can find out a little bit about your neighbors. Who lives in the building? Is it families? Is it older people? Are there a lot of Airbnbs in the building? Is there a big turnover? You know, if you're in Vlore now and you're renting now, this is the end of winter and it's still pretty quiet. You could be on a floor where maybe there's one other resident, but all the other apartments, maybe 4 or 5 apartments, or even 2 or 3 on your floor, they're all Airbnbs. Those are going to be people who are coming in and out, and they're on vacation. And, you know, you can kind of read in between the lines. I have nothing against Airbnb. Believe me, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that for your comfort, and it's something to think about. Because renting an apartment now is going to be it's going to be more quiet unless you live in a building that does not encourage that. So just be aware. And even if it's not Airbnb, you know, are there young children living upstairs? Maybe, just see if you can find out about the neighbors and how the noise level of the building, if that's something that you're concerned about. I mean, everybody really is concerned about it. Just to what level? All right, that's the exterior of the building. Now, when you go inside, take a good look around. Look at the walls. Look inside the closets. Seriously, look inside the corners of the closets. I have heard that there is a mold problem here. I don't imagine mold is very important to Albanians yet. It's important to foreigners like us that we know the dangers of it. It's very unhealthy, and it can make you very sick. And it's not easy to get rid of once it takes hold. But you need to be able to spot it, and you need to speak up and say something. Are they going to fix this? And if they say yes, no problem. Before you move in, you make sure that it's fixed. You look in the closets, you look at the floors to see what kind of condition they're in. You make sure the windows are working. You make sure that the appliances are working. I know you can't do a load of wash, but it needs to be mentioned so that they know that you know that you, so that they know that you know that you are aware of things and not to fool around with you. The refrigerator, the freezer. Does the freezer need to be defrosted before you move in if it's an older fridge? I don't think so. These are the kinds of things that the landlord is and should be responsible for. And there is another thing. The bathrooms. The bathrooms are a little bit different here. Generally, the shower does not have an enclosure. I have requested shower enclosures before, and I haven't even moved into the places. But you can ask for a shower enclosure. You can ask them to install a shower curtain. Because if they're going to rent to foreigners, that has to be there anyway. And then not just a shower curtain, it has to be long enough. It has to touch the floor or skim the floor so the water doesn't get out. I guess there's a name for taking a shower without a shower curtain. I'm personally not interested in that. Imagine during the winter if you plan to be here all year. Now, I lived in northern Thailand, and they don't have any kind of shower curtains there. But the way the bathroom is set up, it wasn't that troublesome. Plus, it was always hot, so getting cold wasn't a problem. But here is very different. Showering without a shower curtain and having to wipe down your entire bathroom every time you take a shower. That's not exactly for me. And another thing that you'll find, which is somewhat surprising, bare light bulbs. Bare light bulbs are very common. No light fixtures, no, $30 or $40 or $50 just little light fixtures above the light bulb or attached, however they attach them, just the light fixture. The landlord can take care of that as well. And you can request this. And if you don't get a positive response, you can look at another apartment easily. And you shouldn't have to go out and buy light fixtures that you are going to leave when you move in. When you leave. Also, going back to the kitchen, there's most likely not going to be a toaster or an air fryer, maybe a microwave. I wouldn't count on it. Also, a dishwasher, I don't know. I'm doubtful in these older buildings, although you never know. I don't want to make a blanket statement like that. But there is there has to be a clothes washer, and there's usually a rack to dry your clothes on. One thing about speaking of washing something, anything, including your body, the water in Vlore is very, very hard and minerally. It's difficult on your hair. It's very difficult on your hair and on your skin and on your clothes. They get pretty stiff sometimes. So I'm going to talk about that in some future videos, but it's a little bit of an investment for a water softener. And drinking water, you have to buy drinking water unless you're going to get a water filtration system. That's all there is to it. So, yeah. So those are the things to look for. And remember, you're bringing them money. You're not at their mercy. Okay? And please don't think you are. All right, that's the bit. Okay, the last one. Now, this is a very personal preference, but the amenities in the neighborhood. Are you close to shopping? Food shopping. That's what I mean. Food shopping, supplies, whatever you think you're going to need. Are you close? Is there a way to get there? You may have a beautiful apartment, the last one on the block, the last one on the street at the top of the hill. Fantastic, excuse me. Fantastic, beautiful view, modern apartment, and boy, is it cheap. How are you going to get up and down the hill to get a classic cup of sugar? Or even if you're way out somewhere, you love the place, but there's nothing around. Something to think about. Something to think about. I know you're new here, maybe, and you probably don't have a social life yet, but where you like to walk, where you like to go, where you like to go have a beer or a coffee, is that nearby, or is that going to be a big trip every time you want to go out? These are things to make your life more convenient. All right, and I'm all about a convenient life, that's for sure. Okay, I think that sums it up for today on a few things to remember when looking at apartments. I will leave you with one of my favorite sayings. There is always another apartment. Always. There's always another apartment. If it's not this one, it's the next one or the one after that. Take your time. Bye. See you soon.